Good evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at tonight's headlines. According to PTI, India plans to release 5 million barrels of crude oil from its emergency stockpile. Now, this is important because it has never happened before. India has never released this much oil from its reserves before. This comes as major oil consumers across the world, including the US, Japan, and other major economies, are planning to release oil from their reserves in order to drive down the global prices. Now, India stocks about 38 million barrels of crude oil underground on the western and the eastern coast of the country, and will be releasing 5 million barrels out of that 38 million barrels in the next 7 to 10 days. Now, this crude oil will be sold to refineries in the country like the Mangalore refinery of Petrochem Hindustan Petro Corporation, HPCL, and others that are connected via the pipeline. Now, the this is important because it shows basically oil consumers across the world banding together for the first time to take on OPEC. Now, OPEC is an organization of petroleum exporting countries, largely led by the Gulf. Now, these countries get together and decide how much they want to produce, and by reducing production, they have managed to keep the prices of global crude fairly high post the COVID pandemic, because they want to recover the costs, or they recover the loss of revenue that they suffered during the pandemic. What has happened now is that oil consuming countries have banded together, decided to release from their reserves and drive down those prices. Now, remember, I told you India is releasing 5 million barrels. The United States President Joe Biden has ordered the release of 50 million barrels from the American reserves. The US last week had made an unusual request to some of the world's largest oil-consuming nations, including China, India, and Japan, to consider releasing stockpiles in a coordinated effort to lower global energy prices. The south of India continues to be battered with heavy rain. After Tamil Nadu and Karnataka faced flooding, Andhra Pradesh's flooding remains severe. Heavy rains and floods in 4 districts of Andhra Pradesh have led to at least 34 people dying, has been confirmed by the government. 10 others are still missing. According to preliminary reports from affected districts, there's massive crop loss across the state, estimated to be worth about 3,000 crore rupees. Districts that are worst affected right now are Chittoor, Anantapuramu, Kadapa, and Nellore. 8 teams of the NDRF, which is the National Disaster Relief, and the State Disaster Relief are deployed for rescue and relief. 2 helicopters are being used as well in sorties in 19 different places. According to News Minute, as per initial estimates, the Roads and Buildings Department, about 800 crore rupees worth of repairs will be required on the roads in Andhra Pradesh. Meanwhile, taking a look at Karnataka, there was some respite from the rains on Monday. Heavy rains on Sunday night, though, left an apartment complex, a tech park, and a research center in Bengaluru's Yelahanka flooded. Several other parts of the city inundated. The roads in the city of Bengaluru apparently are in desperate shape. Karnataka Chief Minister tweeted that Prime Minister Modi has assured all help to the flood-hit state of Karnataka. The Chief Minister also said that a master plan will be drawn up to widen the Rajakalways, or the stormwater drains in the city of Bangalore, in order to allow smoother flow of water. Of course, there was no mention on what happens to the lakes in the city that have been drained and built upon, which are now flooding again. In Tamil Nadu, at the same time, a 4-member team led by the Joint Secretary of Ministry of Home Affairs, Rajiv Sharma, inspected the damage to civic infrastructure in several parts of Chennai because of flooding, following discussions on Sunday at top-level officials of the Greater Chennai Corporation. Remember, the High Court pulled up the Greater Chennai Corporation for not doing enough from the previous flood till now. Hopefully now the corporation will move into action. In other news, Anil Ganvat, who is one of the members of the committee that was set up by the Supreme Court to write a report on the 3 farm laws, has now written to the Chief Justice of India, Justice Ramana, and asked the court to make that report public. Now, Anil Ganvat is a senior leader of the Shetkari Sangathan. The Shetkari Sangathan is a farmer union from Maharashtra. His letter, which is now public, has read, and I quote, "After the government's decision to repeal farm laws in the upcoming winter session of Parliament, the committee report is no longer relevant. With regard to those laws, there are suggestions in that report," he says, "that are of great public interest." He also added that in the next 2 to 3 months, he will travel across the country and draw with him 1 lakh farmers from across the country who support reforms in agriculture and bring them to Delhi. He has said that the demand for guarantee of minimum support price is not feasible at this moment. Remember, farmers right now have said that they will continue to protest until they get a legal remedy of MSP. Mr. Govt on Monday said the Indian economy will face a crisis if there is a law on MSP. His letter says, and I quote again, "If there's going to be a law on MSP, India will face a crisis. With the law, if procurement process goes down someday, no one will be able to buy the produce, as procuring price of MSP below MSP will be illegal and traders will be put in jail for it." Now, all of this is coming after the Prime Minister decided or announced that the government had decided to withdraw those 3 farm laws. Also, for our audience, we've just conducted a conversation with Yogendra Yadav, which is up on our YouTube page. He is also a spokesperson representing the farmer unions. And so we've asked him about these fresh demands or these demands that the farmers can intend to continue demanding from the government. The Supreme Court today also rejected a plea by the Trinamool Congress to postpone the local body elections in Tripura that's scheduled for the 25th of November. The court also issued an additional guideline to ensure that the conduct during these elections remain peaceful. The court was hearing a contempt petition filed by the TMC, alleging violence against its party workers is continuing unabated in Tripura. False cases are being filed against them by the ruling BJP government. The bench was headed by Justice Jayant Chaudhary. He said, and I quote, "Postponing elections is a matter of last and extreme recourse. It is our considerate view. Short of postponing elections, the apprehensions expressed by the petitioners can be redressed by issuing directions to Tripura to ensure remaining phases of elections take place in a safe and secure manner. Reports of law and order which have been drawn to the attention of enforcement agencies are dealt with in accordance with the law." End quote. And now for a dose of politics. Most of it is coming out of Uttar Pradesh right now. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav and Rashtriya Lok Dal leader Jayant Chaudhary tweeted photos of a meeting today, raising speculations of whether they will form an alliance ahead of the Uttar Pradesh polls. Now, this would be a crucial alliance ahead of the Uttar Pradesh polls. Akhilesh Yadav captioned the photograph, quoting, "Heading towards change with Jayant Chaudhary." The SP and the RLD had contested assembly elections together, Lok Sabha by polls together back in 2017. In other news, in his latest book, Manish Tewari of the Congress has taken on his own party and criticized his own party, releasing a book called 10 Flashpoints, 20 Years of National Security Situations That Impacted India. Congress MP Manish Tewari has said that the government should have acted in a more severe fashion after the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. According to an excerpt from the book that's now been reproduced in the Times of India, he says, and I quote, "For a state that has no compulsions in brutally slaughtering hundreds of innocent people, restraint is not a sign of strength. It is perceived to be a symbol of weakness. There comes a time when actions must speak louder than words. 26/11 was one such time when it should have been done. It therefore is my considered opinion that India should have actioned kinetic response in the days following India's 9/11. So basically, he has called the UPA government weak in its response to those terror attacks. Also, a story that must take note: President Ramnath Kovind presented Gallantry Awards for distinguished service decorations at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Monday. Group Captain Abhinandan Varthaman, who was accorded the Veer Chakra presented by the President for his role in pushing back the Pakistani fighter jets in February 2019. President Ramnath Kovind also accorded the Kirti Chakra to Prakash Jadhav for neutralizing terrorists in an operation in Jammu and Kashmir. That was posthumously. Major Vibhuti Shankar Dondiyal was accorded the Shaurya Chakra, also posthumously, for his role in an operation where 5 terrorists were eliminated and 200 kgs of explosive material was recovered. The President presented the Shaurya Chakra posthumously to Naib Subedar Sombir for killing an A++ category terrorist during an operation in Jammu and Kashmir. A quick look at our COVID numbers. They're looking pretty good, though. India reported 7,579 new COVID cases, 236 deaths in the last 24 hours. Those numbers seem to be coming down on a daily basis, which is a good thing. A look at news coming in from the world of business. While addressing a gathering in Jammu, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said the government is actively pursuing cases of loan defaulters and will bring back all the money that has been taken away from banks. She said this irrespective of whether they're in India or outside the country. Nirmala Sitharaman said that while the government is generously putting all its resources to make J&K work well in a transparent way, I'm quoting here, any wrongdoing that has happened in the banks, any loans which have been taken away and not repaid until now, I'm sure our system will work in such a way that wrongdoers and the money will be brought back. End quote. Taking a look at news coming in right now from across the world. According to a report by the United Nations Development Programme, or the UNDP, Afghanistan's banking system is on verge of collapse. According to Reuters, the report said Afghanistan's financial and bank payment systems are in disarray. The bank run problem must be resolved quickly to improve Afghanistan's limited production capacity and prevent the banking system from collapsing altogether. It went on to say that the economic cost of a banking system collapse would be, and I quote, colossal. Afghanistan's banking system was already in disarray even before the Taliban took over. Germany's health minister has made a statement. Remember, Germany is now reporting more than 30,000 new COVID cases on Monday alone. The health minister said, and I quote, Germans will be either vaccinated, cured, or dead by the end of the winter. Germany is currently facing its fourth wave of COVID. Majority of the COVID patients are unvaccinated. Germany is reporting a surge of cases, mainly due to the Delta variant. Now, 30,000 cases on Monday alone, while the country is 68% fully vaccinated. An update from the world of sports very quickly for you. Rahul has been ruled out of the 2-test match series against New Zealand due to a muscle strain on his left thigh. All India's senior selection committee has named Suryakumar Yadav as Rahul's replacement. The first test between India and New Zealand will begin on the 25th of November in Kanpur. And a piece of positive news, in our opinion, before we let you go for the day. There is a lower primary school in Ernakulam in Kerala that has gone one step further in providing gender neutrality and equality to its students. They have the same uniform for girls and for boys. The school has a strength of 754 students who will wear 3/4 shorts, irrespective of their gender. And apparently, the length of the shorts and the nature of the uniform was a consensus with parents and teachers. The dress code was first planned in 2018 and introduced for the lower primary section of the school this academic year. After it was a great success and lauded by everyone, it's now been implemented for everyone in the school. That brings us to the end of this news bulletin. Thank you so much for tuning in and for watching. Like I do always, it's always curious and interesting for us to find out how many people lasted till the end of the bulletin. So leave us a green star if you manage to watch till the end of the bulletin in the comment section. And also leave us a word of encouragement. It always helps. Thank you so much. Good night.